All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome one and all to episode number 2 of Chatting with the Bondman, the podcast where the Bondman chats with awesome people. And today is going to be a real head filler today because for you millennials out there, this might be really good advice for you. Today we're going to talk about basically we're going to enter the finance world. We're going to talk about finances and just money in general. And the Bondman today has two very helpful people to talk about that. Today we have my two good friends, Silvia Castellanos and her mentor, Daniel Camero. And no, he's not a car, so don't even ask. So guys, thanks for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, Noah. It's our pleasure.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for this, man.
Yeah, so Daniel, why don't you start out by saying what you do for a living and why you're here today?
Yeah, Noah. So first of all, thanks for having us, man. It's a pleasure being on this podcast with you.
You bet.
And basically, I'm a broker in the financial industry and insurance world. Basically, what I do is I help families how to prepare for a better financial future through financial education and goal-based planning. And our goal is just to basically empower families with this information and really make an impact in their life.
Awesome.
And the reason I'm here, by the way, is because of my good friend Silvia. So Silvia, she's one of my good friends. And, she actually is good friends with you and you guys know each other for years. And basically she told me about this and we got a chance to connect and now we're here.
Awesome. And Silvia, why don't you say what you do?
Yeah, of course. So actually got the opportunity to meet Daniel and he showed this amazing opportunity about financial literature. It really came to my attention because as a mom, I'm like, hey, I wasn't prepped myself as a child. How can I prep my own daughter for her future? And so this opportunity was brought up starting part time and hopefully in the future get to be full time. That's the goal.
That is awesome. Yeah. And so all three of us are millennials. We're all 90s kids, and we've dealt with lots of financial struggles, pretty much starting in the 21st century. Once 2000 rolled around, that's when things kind of went downhill just a little bit, but things really crashed and burned in 2008. Am I right?
Yeah, man, absolutely. And a lot of wealth was basically eliminated, right? In people's retirement and savings and all that stuff. And so definitely that was some hard times to live through for a lot of people.
Yeah, I remember those times like it was yesterday, and it took a long time to not only recover from it but come out of it because a lot of jobs had trouble hiring. They had to do a lot of cutbacks. They had to do a lot of budget cuts. That's the one. That's the one term that I've always heard over and over and over again: budget cut, budget cut, budget cut.
Mm-hmm.
And also the one sentence that really makes my blood boil: we can't afford it. And just by hearing that, that just it makes me sad because of what you used to afford then, you can't afford now. And for you Pulp Fiction fans out there, yes, $5 shakes still exist. So that's what inflation is all about. So what I want to talk to you guys about, since you two are in the financial world and we're both millennials, why don't we talk about the financial struggles that we go through and how we can handle it? And I think Daniel, you can definitely enlighten us on that one.
Yeah. So I'll start off with saying that most millennials basically have, and not everyone, but most of them I do have a bad relationship with money because of lack of awareness and lack of education when they got brought up. Money is not a topic that we tend to talk about in schools and in our communities. And sometimes we don't even talk about it at home, right? Our parents didn't necessarily know too much about it, so they didn't show us a lot of principles regarding money. If you do have a parent that obviously taught you how to save, taught you how to invest, taught you how to do all these things, then you're blessed. But the reality is most millennials don't have a really good relationship with money. I think the biggest struggle that we've seen so far is how much debt millennials are in, and how much their incomes aren't really keeping pace with what they were thinking they were going to earn at this age and at this stage in your life. So that's what I have to say.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I always tell my parents how they had it so easy, when they were our age financially, where, I mean, they didn't live royally off of minimum wage, but they weren't broke either. They had they had some struggles like we all do. Every generation has their own financial struggle, but they came through okay. It was also back in the day where you can live off of one income easily, where it was the leave it to beaver kind of a phase in life where, the dad was the breadwinner, the mom stayed at home, and so on. I mean, both my parents worked, so I'm definitely proud of them on that one. But Sylvia, what's your take on millennial financial struggles?
Yeah, most definitely. With adding on to what Daniel said, right? All of those things, but also we didn't have our parents in our home for the most part because now they have to keep up with the minimum wage and what we have to consume, food, our housing. We didn't have our parents for the most part. Um, they're present. So what it came to be more freedom, more liberty on our end. And unfortunately, some of those liberties, freedoms came to be with choices that and consequences that we were not prepared for, right? And some of those could have been like, oh, getting into trouble. Now you're in jail, and now you're learning from that. Or also like, oh my gosh, teen moms, right? Around our millennial era, there's a lot of teen moms who had to learn how to bring up their kid with the same like financial struggles that now the parents are facing, and now them, and all of that. And then more so, it's just also what Daniel said, we didn't have that guidance to like let us know this is how we do it, this is the steps, and those who were, as he said, are blessed. So that would be, yeah.
Oh yeah, most definitely. And in fact, there's actually something that was brought to my attention earlier today. As a matter of fact, I was riding home from work, and I swung by the ATM to get out some cash, and I was hearing the security guards, like overhearing the security guards chatting, and one of them said, "California sucks, man, and it's only going to get worse. And if there's one thing I hate, hate, hate hearing is it's only going to get worse." Because that's scary. And I knew he was talking about the cost of living in California. I knew he was talking about it. And it's true, the cost of living in California is not what it used to be, because a lot of people are moving to California because of the weather. I mean, let's be honest, you can't beat California weather. But the problem with California is it comes with a huge price tag. And because of that, a lot of people that we went to high school with or even elementary school with are moving out of state because it's too expensive here. I actually a friend that I went to high school with, she's in the Air Force and she lives in Arkansas. She lives in Arkansas. No, Alabama. She lives in Alabama. And I thought, if you have to move to a state like that in order just to live, that's not cool. Because, it just goes to show you how financially hard we have it. Now we have it financially hard, but we have it technologically easy. Doing taxes nowadays is a breeze with TurboTax, right, Daniel?
Yeah, man. Yeah, we there's definitely opportunities to to make a lot of money. We just got to look for that opportunity, man. Because I feel like it's very easy to kind of gravitate towards like, oh, things are hard for us, but there's opportunity where you look for it, where you find it, um, and I think that's definitely a way to look at it. So
Yeah, and the other thing that also really bugs me is how people our parents' age and even older are saying millennials are they're lazy, they're work haters, they don't appreciate a job and stuff because a lot of people are saying, oh, that's a crap job or something like that. And um, I don't know if you remember this, but did you guys ever watch the Cosby Show at all?
Episodes here and there, but no.
Okay, well, the point I'm making is that a couple of years ago there was this news report where one of the actors from the Cosby Show, Jeffrey Owens, was someone took a picture of him working at Trader Joe's because the Cosby Show lost its residuals and he was a struggling actor, and so he had to get a job at Trader Joe's just to get by, and people were job shaming him because of that. He's like, "What? You're an actor. You shouldn't be working at Trader Joe's and stuff." And people think that's a crap job, but it really isn't, because if you have a family, every little kind of job counts. And a lot of actors came to his defense. Even Terry Crews, he said, when I got out of the NFL, I swept floors for a little while, and if need be, I do it again. Or an actor, Sean Patrick Flannery, he was young Indiana Jones, and he said when he moved from Texas to California to start a production company, he waited tables at TGI Fridays for a while, and he dug it. He really truly dug it. And he said, and when he was asked if he'd do it again, he said, in a heartbeat. It was awesome. So it is true that a lot of people our age kind of job shame. They're like, that job is beneath me. But again, the truth is, if a job gives you money, it's not beneath you.
That's right. Yeah. So I think so to your point, one of the biggest things I found that most millennials are really struggling with, and that's why they have to, do these odd jobs sometimes, is cash flow. Right. So the first area that we got to focus on as a millennial is, man, we got to number one focus on our cash flow. Understand, okay, well, how much money is coming in, how much is going out, and obviously the goal with cash flow is have more money coming in than going out, and then have a plan to increase that cash flow by living below our means, or just obviously minimizing our expenses, but at the same time have a plan to save and invest what's left over, that discretionary income. And I think cash flow is probably the biggest thing that I really seen most millennials really struggle with right now.
Yeah, the one thing I'm really noticing with millennials, that a lot of millennials that actually just live on their own. In fact, when I was living in Oregon for a while, there's this girl I dated, and she was living in Springfield, Oregon. And by the way, that is the Springfield that the Simpsons are based off of, for those of you who are wondering. But anyway, she lived on her own. She lived in a very nice apartment. She lived with her dog and other pets and stuff, and she worked as a vet tech, but she also lived off of food stamps, which unfortunately is kind of the reality of these days. I mean, it's it's sad, with the things that we go through. I mean, everybody has to live off of food stamps once in a while, but it teaches you to appreciate the work ethic.
Right.
Yeah, most definitely it does. And yeah, there is help out there, but there's only so much that the government can do. As for example, for us, like who knows, we might not even get social security when we get older. There's how are we preparing for retirement? Yeah,
Mhm.
we're young right now. Yeah, we're working. Yeah, we're paying off our debt. But also, how are we preparing for our retirement? Like we see like a lot of, or sometimes you go into a Target, a Michael's, a Trader Joe's, you can see like an older person and they can tell you, yeah, I'm working here because, I have some free time. But the reality is, nobody will ever say that they're struggling. Nobody will ever say, I don't have enough to meet to meet my ends because
Mhm.
you kind of like feel embarrassed at that point.
Right.
And then so I feel like that's another also take that we should now be thinking. Yes, we got debt, but how are we preparing ourselves for retirement? Yes, we're young, but whom is going to take care of us? Because even the senior citizen homes, they're expensive. Like,
Hmm.
and the government ones, they're not very well funded. So we're just, what's going to happen then?
Yeah, no, it's true. And I will say though, and this is true, at least this is not the Great Depression. People in the Depression had it way worse. Both of my grandparents grew up in the Depression, and my grandparents told me lots of stories. My grandfather grew up in New York. My grandmother grew up in San Francisco, so they definitely remember it. And my grandfather, told me how they had to sometimes eat jelly sandwiches or pickle sandwiches or something like that, to try to get by. But even though a lot of millennials, they say we have it financially hard, let me tell you, our grandparents had it 10 times worse. So we're definitely blessed in a certain way.
I agree, man. Yeah. So that's perspective, right? So I mean, somebody has always had it worst. I just feel like for my belief is that we're supposed to progress. We're supposed to be better than our parents were, right? I mean, for myself, my family didn't come here to. I wasn't born here, so my family didn't come to this country so we can stay the same, right? Like they basically wanted a better future for me and my future family. So that's kind of like my duty, right? And so the reality is, when you have that mindset, you end up looking at opportunities. You don't take them for granted. You see them for what the opportunity can be, and you make the best of it. And you engage in opportunities like this, man, to meet new people, to educate others, empower other people, and just think bigger. And I think that's for sure something that we always can think about, man. We're supposed to do better than our previous generation. If we're not getting better, we're getting worse. There's really no middle ground. There's no staying the same. It's just you got to progress.
Yeah, definitely. And you're right, about, meeting people and stuff. You never know who you could meet through people. My radio professor in college, he introduced me to a legendary radio DJ, Shotgun Tom Kelly, who I've been a fan of since I was like 6 or 7 years old, listening to KRF 101 in the car. And I got to meet him and interview him twice. And I mean, again, the people you meet through people, it's incredible. And
Wow.
you never know what opportunities arise from that. So that's definitely a way of counting your blessings.
Absolutely. I agree with that, man. Networking, something that's for sure, can help you. I mean, we all heard the saying, your net worth is connected and correlated to your network. So I think that's for sure something we spoke about offline. And we see that whenever you put yourself in a position to meet other people that can introduce you to other people, sometimes it's not about them, it's about who they know. That could lead to a lot of opportunities and create some sort of financial wealth for you in the long run, an opportunity. So it's good.
Yeah, and one thing I've always been taught is don't ever be afraid to put yourself out there. You gotta network, and because I told you guys before I wanted to get into the voiceover business and the broadcasting business. I put myself out there. I put myself on YouTube. I do TikToks. I do Instagrams and all that stuff, and I'm trying so hard to find a niche. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people on social media that kind of haven't stolen it, but are just taking it already. And it's not really cool to repeat a niche. So you got to come up with your own originality. But point being is that networking is super important. I remember I went to a national broadcasting conference in Vegas, met a lot of cool people. I gave them my cards, and I didn't get I didn't get like a whole lot out of it, but I got a lot of lessons out of it. I talked to a lot of cool people. So, you won't always get something out of it, like, financial wise, but knowledge wise. And sometimes, or a lot of the times, knowledge outweighs money.
Right, right. Absolutely, man. So a point that I was just thinking about that we can maybe bring some value to the listeners is kind of in regards to what we do. So, as financial professionals, something that we love to bring value to people is having more financial awareness and education through implementing financial principles, right? So, maybe the first principle I can talk about is compound interest, right? So, we've heard of compound interest in the past, and basically how some people have called it the eighth wonder of the world. It's a principle that's basically has to do with you starting to save early as a millennial. Most of us are what, maybe late 30s or early 30s, late 20s, and so right around that age range. And we have something on our side, which is time, right? We have maybe what, 20, 30 more years of our working years, hopefully. And if we take advantage of that time by saving and investing money, and having that money grow in an interest accumulating account that's basically working for you, that interest is going to compound over time, and it's basically going to work for you, right? And what a lot of millennials are doing right now, though, unfortunately, is that they're having compound interest work against them because they're getting into student loan debt, right? I read a statistic the other day that collectively student loans are in this country are 1.2 trillion dollars, right? And you can even, I mean, I don't know the statistic as far as how much of that percentage is millennials, but trust me, it's a very big percentage. And so that basically means that these loans have interest securing them, and it's actually working against them, and it's going to keep them in debt, right? And it's basically going to take them longer to get out of debt, um, while they can save money and invest it so they can build wealth as well. So that's the number one principle we like to teach people. Start early. There's never going to be a convenient time to save for retirement, because I would say average person around 25 years old or like around that range, they're like, man, I'll start saving when I make more money, right? I'll start saving when I get a better job. And I mean, honestly, that's like saying, you know what, I'll start getting healthier when I just get unhealthy, right? Like it just, when it gets worse, like it doesn't make sense, right? So the whole goal here is to make sure you start early, because next thing you know, you're 35, you have kids. Oh, you know what? I'll start saving when the kids, like graduate school. Well, now you're 45. I'll start saving when the kids move out the house. And it's just, it's just a delay of building that habit. And next thing you know, man, it's really detrimental to most people's long-term financial picture. So that's the first principle I want to share. And maybe Silvia, if you want to share the next one, you know what it is, the risk, right?
Yeah, most definitely. There are risks. For example, we have like the stock market, right? The stock market is going up and down like a roller coaster. Either it does so good or either it's like a flop. So that it's like you already invested a certain amount of money in there, and next thing you know, you're either losing all of it or some of it. There's not that fluctuation of in between. Unlike if there are other places where you can go ahead and you know have a more potential, more security when it comes to your money, and it can go ahead and as you're investing, right? And there is a floor, right? So the floor would be like, okay, instead of you losing, you're locked in at a certain rate. When you're locked in at that certain rate, you're not losing anything. And then as you rise up. As it goes down, you're locked in. And so you're creating this staircase effect, which in long term is gonna benefit you because since you didn't lose a certain amount or all of it, you have something
Right.
to lean back on.
Right. So that's called risk management, and so I feel like if you keep those two principles in mind, make sure you take advantage of compound interest, make sure you understand where to put your money, diversify in a certain way, and talk to a financial professional, man, because that's honestly something that's going to save you a lot of time, a lot of energy. And just so you guys know what we do it for free. We do it complimentary. We don't charge a dime because we're actually brokers. So we get paid on the back end by the companies we represent. So I'll always keep that in mind. You look for your information, do your research, and get some financial help.
Yeah, definitely. And so I'm a registered behavioral therapist, and our company is funded by insurance companies. And there's a lot of loopholes, not loopholes, but there's a lot of things you have to do correctly to have the insurance companies provide you with income, because it's like if you withhold so much as a comma out of your report, sorry, no money. Um, but as far as accountants, though, accountants are super important because I think I know maybe two or three accountants, and they all tell me the same thing, that April is, it's like, oh, April's the death of me, because it's tax season and you got so many things going for you. But accountants are extremely important. Did you ever think about becoming a CPA?
That's a good question, man. So I did not know. So basically, I do have a good friend that's a CPA, and the commonalities that we have are our goal is to help people pay less in taxes. So CPA's responsibility is to help them pay less in taxes now, meaning I want to help you how to maximize your write-offs, your contributions towards your retirement plans, your taxable income. Perfect. My goal is to help people pay no taxes later through their investments. So what that means is that there are accounts out there, and actually that's the third wealth principle, is taxes. It's not about how much money you save or invest, it's about how much money you keep, because the IRS is going to want a piece of your retirement money. So my goal as a financial professional is we basically take the IRS out of people's retirement picture through showing them options of how to save money in tax exempt accounts that basically don't have any taxable events in the future. But you have to structure plans correctly. You have to educate them. You mentioned something very interesting right now. We have to do with insurance. Insurance companies tend to have products and services that are tax exempt that a lot of people don't know about. And people, actually wealthy people, have been using and leveraging insurance for decades as far as a way of building wealth and building generational wealth. So the average American, the 95% of America, is not using these products and services that are available to them. And it's because of lack of education, lack of awareness. The financial industry is pretty infamous for only catering to the 1%. And everyone's being left behind to figure out by themselves. And so our goal is to revolutionize that way of thinking and basically bring these principles to the average American so they can have some sort of obviously a plan for a better financial future for them and their families. But I never thought of becoming a CPA. That's a specific niche that they have. I do value them. I think what they do is excellent. Everyone needs one. If you're a business owner, if you're even a high income earner, if you even want to have more money in your pocket at the end of the year, you should hire a CPA. But when it comes to the future, that's where we look at proper financial planning in tax exempt categories.
Yeah, and the one thing, kids, you have to know that being rich, it sounds like a lot of fun, but it's not all it's cracked up to be. Rich people pay way more taxes, and there's so basically, the higher you earn, the higher you pay in taxes. So just mull that one over for a minute. But of course, a lot of people have, again, they have accountants who help them pay less in taxes, like you said. So there are pros and cons of being rich. I mean, if you're Bruce Wayne, hey, congratulations to you. But but like you said, the average person who say even middle class, they work their tails off for the money. And actually, one little term I learned from the Cosby Show um, is that the average person works hard for their money. The rich person makes their money work for them. And I think, Daniel, that's what you're doing, is helping people have their money work for them.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, honestly, if you just listen to what you just said, it sounds good, right? But it takes education, it takes awareness, it takes financial literacy to know how to do that. And the way you gain that is through, basically, I mean, in my opinion, is through, associations, right? You got to associate yourself with the right people, the right podcasts, right? The right audios, the right books, and you can definitely find the answers that you need. And then where we come in is like, we're the professionals, right? We're licensed with the state and the government, all that stuff. And basically we have the ability to show people the best financial instruments that are out there to help them achieve that goal, which is help making their money work for them.
Yeah, and this is the exact reason why I like when Silvia talked to me and she pitched her idea for the episode, I immediately said, absolutely. I immediately agreed, because I think this will be a very helpful episode for the listeners out there, should I gain any, hopefully. Maybe I'll even post this on YouTube or something, because this is extremely useful information. And the great thing about social media is you never know like when a video can go viral. Small one, big one, you never know. And I pray every day that that this will go somewhere, and somebody, a smart person, will hear this and actually, put their education to work, put their minds to work, and actually do something to earn an honest living, and help their retirements. And actually, the one thing that my mom really wants me to do, and I will be doing soon, is to open up an IRA. And when you open up an IRA in your 20s, and you keep putting it in, for the rest of your life, you might have something there. It'll definitely help you in the long run. And you'll have a nice steady retirement. I mean, you won't be rich, but you won't be broke either.
Right. Absolutely, man. And that's a huge thing that we can help people with. And it's just about, having delayed gratification, right? Like the sooner you start, the more consistent you are, more disciplined you are with your savings. I heard a saying that goes like, if you save your money now, your money will save you in the future, right? And so it's important to not only save, but in other words, if I were to correct that statement, I would say, if you save and invest your money now, your money will take care of you in the future, right? So that's critical.
Definitely. And I mentioned to you before that my grandfather, he was in the frozen food business for most of his career, and he didn't get a pension. So what he did do was, he had rental property up in Contra Costa County, in Walnut Creek particularly, and that was their retirement income. And that was a very smart thing to do. Very, very smart thing. It kept them afloat for the rest of their lives. And that's what my parents also advised me to do, is that sometime in your life, open up a rental property or something. And because when it's rental, the income just keeps on coming. When it's residential real estate, you just have to wait for the commission. But rental property, that's where the real money is.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're almost running out of time, but guys, thank you so much for coming on this. And Sylvia, thank you for pitching the idea for this episode. And I really hope to God it goes somewhere. I think all the credit goes to you for this episode. And thanks for bringing on Daniel. And Daniel, thanks for being on the show, dude.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you, Silvia. Definitely for the connection, bridging this opportunity to me and to be on this platform. I would definitely open up the doors for individuals that listen to this, and maybe they can get their information, what you put maybe on the description on your podcast, to follow us on Instagram. Right, my Instagram handle is Dan Camero _. Silvia, what's yours?
Yes, mine is Silvia underscore SEE.
SE, perfect. So, and the reason I want you guys to follow us because we always post financial literacy stuff on our stories, and it's just stuff to educate yourself on and to always be in the loop and have this on your consciousness. And Sylvia and I host actually webinars that we do every Tuesday evening, Pacific Coast time, 7 p.m., 6:30 p.m. Pacific, and then Saturday mornings at 9:30 a.m. Pacific, where we go over these financial principles. We go over entrepreneurship and business and all these things, and we talk about certain things that are important in this industry that can be very beneficial for individuals. So definitely open up the doors for anyone that wants to attend those. Just reach out to us, and we'll be able to help you out.
Yeah, and we also have an office located out here in Gardena. The address is 1515 West 190th Street, Suite 104. So whenever you guys are around the area, you can always stop by, ask for myself, Sylvia, and Daniel. We're more than happy to help you out and talk to you guys and then give you more information.
Yeah, and you heard it here first, folks. Those webinars will definitely help out. For those of you who have an extra couple minutes, definitely go into that, and I'll most likely put the links down in the description, and hopefully someone will actually take a stand and go for it. Any last minute advice you want to give to young people?
Yeah, it's not about your destination, it's about the journey that you're taking in. So always every milestone that you're taking along your journey, and make sure that you're enjoying that moment. Enjoy that moment. And there are opportunities out there. It's just, are you searching hard enough? This is not just a one-way stop. There's more to life.
Absolutely, definitely. And Daniel, anything from you?
Yeah. So for me, I always tell people some of the wisest advice that I've gotten is to always seek wise counsel in every area of your life, especially when it comes to your money. You always want to seek wise counsel. There's certain things that you don't know, and you have to get exposed to them by seeking wise counsel, by being curious and asking questions, and then ignore opinions. You don't want to take financial advice from someone who's struggling. You don't want to take financial advice from somebody who's broke, right? We're in the world of entrepreneurship and business. Like, I don't take business advice from successful employees because they never ran a business before, right? So just seek wise counsel, ignore opinions and everything that you do. And I think that's something that has completely changed my life and I live by. So.
Yeah, and the free advice from me is for those of you in your early 20s, start an IRA. It'll save your life in the long run. Yeah.
Awesome.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast, and hopefully we'll do another episode with different subjects.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for your time, man. Appreciate you. Nice talking.
It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you, guys.
Thank you so much.
All right, see you guys.